what The Rock is cooking.
You want to be The Rock? Well, I can tell you just how to become The Rock, at least in Dungeons & Dragons, because this is D&D Builds, where we have an outlet to make all sorts of ridiculous Dungeons & Dragons characters and hopefully stop driving the people insane with them. Today we're building Dwayne The Rock Johnson. He's been an absolute powerhouse in the entertainment industry for quite a while now, going from playing football for University of Miami to getting signed to the NFL to getting cut because of an injury, among other things. And when he got cut, he only had $7 in his pocket, so he found his way into the world of wrestling just like his father, eventually using that to catapult him onto the big screen and becoming a massive movie star. In fact, as of 2021, he was the highest paid movie star in the US. And that is no easy feat to master. So let's figure out how we can roll together this absolute powerhouse of an entertainer into a Dungeons & Dragons character. First things first, we gotta start off with a race. We could go real easy here and go human, but The Rock is a pretty massive dude. I mean, he's only a couple inches shorter than the guy who played the Mountain in Game of Thrones. And sitting at a whopping 6'5" and around 260 pounds, I think it's justifiable to upgrade from human to Goliath. A Goliath gets boosts to their strength and constitution scores. They're known to be pretty massive creatures. They have a base speed of around 30 feet, which is pretty standard, but Goliaths are also natural athletes, and that works perfectly because of his career in football and wrestling. You're also granted the ability Stone's Endurance. This allows you to shrug off injury. When you take damage, you can use your reaction to roll a d12, add your constitution modifier, and reduce the damage taken by that total. You also get Powerful Build. This allows you to count as one size larger than medium when it comes to determining your carry capacity or weight you can push, drag, or lift. And if The Rock's known for anything, it's how insane his workout regimens are and how he does tons of lifting. Not to mention when he played Hercules, they wound up having to use real chains instead of props in a scene because he kept breaking the prop ones because of how strong he is. You also get a couple languages like Common and Giant, but you get Mountain Born. This gives you resistance to cold damage because you're acclimated to high altitudes. This is the one alteration I would make if you are allowed to customize this at all at your table. Instead of making him resistant to cold damage, I would highly recommend making him resistant to fire damage. He is Samoan, a very hot and humid area. Being resistant to cold doesn't make sense as much as fire. And since we already know you get athletics as a skill, might as well go ahead and grab our background. I think this is a very easy choice as we're going to go with entertainer. Between his movie career and wrestling, it was a pretty easy choice. There's even a variant of entertainer called gladiator.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
And I can't think of something that exemplifies the world of WWE more than gladiator. And I would make this variation, but the whole thing with being an entertainer is that you get 2 skill proficiencies, acrobatics and performance, tool proficiencies in a disguise kit, which is perfect for an actor, and 1 musical instrument. If you went with the gladiator variant, you actually lose your proficiency in that musical instrument, and you get proficiency in some sort of unusual weapon such as a trident or a net. I would go with this, but I think there's some better ways we can deal with interesting weapons, and The Rock is actually known to be able to play the ukulele, so let's just keep it as a full-blown entertainer. Along with choosing this background, you get a few pieces of equipment, which are a musical instrument, the favor of an admirer, a costume, and a pouch containing 15 gold pieces. The one variation I would make here is that instead of 15 gold, I would just put it down to 7 gold, because The Rock is infamously known for trying to make it with just $7 in his pocket. On top of everything else, you also get an entertainer routine, and you can choose an actor for this, and that is his primary focus nowadays, so I think that fits. Now that we have the race in the background, let's go ahead and jump into some stats. We're going to go ahead and max out strength because of course we're going to max out strength. It's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, why wouldn't we? So we're going to bump it up to 15 and then get another +2 from our Goliath race. We're going to take our dexterity and just put it at a baseline of 10. He's not super nimble, being as massive as he is, but he's at least on par with an average person. I mean, he did play professional sports. Then we're going to take our constitution, bump it up to 15, and get another +1 from our Goliath race, because I do not doubt that The Rock can take a hit or two. Intelligence and wisdom we're actually going to dump, and not because I think that he's not smart or wise, because I'm sure he is. There's no way that you're this successful in the industry without having some wits about you, but we just don't have a ton of points to spare. Because the rest of the points we got, we're going to throw into charisma. We're going to bump it up to 14 because God knows he's one charismatic son of a gun. And now it's time to pick a class. We could go with something like Fighter, which is very versatile, but I don't feel like it fits very well with him. And I was tempted to go Barbarian because he is known to essentially fight while wearing almost nothing. But he does have a massive connection to Under Armour, and Barbarians are known to not really wear any armor. And he has his tequila brand, Terra Mana, and anybody that knows anything about D&D or Final Fantasy or most video games knows that mana is usually related to some kind of magic, and barbarians aren't exactly known for their magic. So instead, I'm really going to utilize that charisma, and we're going to go with Paladin. When you choose Paladin, you get proficiencies in all armor and shields and pretty much every weapon. You also get saving throws in wisdom and charisma, and you get to choose 2 skills. So on top of the skills we already have, we're going to throw in Intimidation. That way you can really make use of that eyebrow, and you can really shut somebody down, telling them,
It doesn't matter what you think!
and then we'll just boost up our Persuasion because you have the charisma to make use of it. Then you get to choose some equipment, and frankly, The Rock doesn't really focus on any particular type of weapon across all of the movies he's in. So we'll go ahead and grab a great axe and a shield, and then you also get a simple weapon. So we'll just grab a one-handed simple weapon at the same time, so that way you can switch it up as you need. You also get a priest pack or an explorer's pack, and with being in Jumanji, I think having an explorer's pack works pretty well. Then you get chainmail and a holy symbol. The holy symbol could be maybe those long horns he's known for, or any of the intense tattoos he has on his body, since they did add the ability to have magical tattoos in D&D. But if you don't want to go with tattoos, I highly recommend just choosing a WWE Championship belt. At level 1 you get Divine Sense and Lay on Hands, and at level 2 you get a fighting style. Now, like I said, I don't want to focus on any one particular type of weapon, but I do think The Rock can take a hit. So I'm going to boost up our defense, taking the defense fighting style. This increases your AC by 1. At level 2 you also get some spell casting and Divine Smite. We'll save most of the spell casting for the end, but Divine Smite is really like dropping the people's elbow. Then at level 3 we get to finally throw in a bit of flavor. We get Divine Health, which makes you immune to disease, but we also get a Sacred Oath. There's 2 oaths that really seem to fit for me here. There's Devotion and Glory, because I couldn't help but think of that song Face Off, and how it's about drive, it's about power, we stay hungry, we devour. And it also talks about putting in the work, putting in the hours, and taking what's ours. And that really feels like devotion to me. And so I almost went that route until I looked into the tenets of glory. And the 3 main things that stood out to me the most are: 1, hone the body. Like raw stone, your body must be worked so its potential can be realized. That seemed a little too fitting to not start leaning towards glory all by itself. But then there's also the tenet: challenges are but tests. Face hardships with courage and encourage your allies to face them with you. And he's really well known for trying to boost up the people around him, so I think this fits pretty well too. And then finally, discipline the soul. You must marshal the discipline to overcome failings within yourself that threaten to dim glory of you and your friends. And this just felt so spot on, I couldn't avoid going Oath of Glory. This gives you access to a handful more spells, as well as your Channel Divinity. As a bonus action, you can use your Channel Divinity for Peerless Athlete. For the next 10 minutes, you have advantage on athletics and acrobatics checks, and you can push, drag, or lift twice as much weight as normal, not to mention increasing the distance of your jumps. But the ability to lift twice as normal, plus the factor of your Goliath race, means that you're able to lift essentially a car. Then the other option for your Channel Divinity is Inspiring Smite. So when you deal damage to someone else, you can boost up your allies around you. Then at level 4, you get your first ability score improvement. And rather than dumping everything into ability score points, I would grab a feat right away. And anybody that's ever seen anything from the WWE knows that they beat down people with pretty much anything they see around. And there's a feat that's perfect for this, Tavern Brawler. This will increase your strength or constitution by 1, so we're gonna go ahead and increase our strength by 1, rounding it out to that 18 so we can actually utilize it as an even number. Then you're proficient with improvised weapons. So if you want to use a ladder or a chair or anything that you find around, that's perfect. At 5th level, you get extra attack. At 6th level, you get Aura of Protection. This just means you're so frickin' charming that you actually boost up your allies, giving every one of your allies around you a bonus to their saving throws equal to your charisma modifier. And just to boost up your allies even more, at 7th level, you get Aura of Alacrity, which really just boosts up the speed of your allies as you charge into battle together. Then at 8th level, you get another ability score improvement, so we're going to max out our strength. At 9th level, you don't really get anything except for access to another spell slot. At 10th level, you get Aura of Courage. This just makes it so you and your friends within 10 feet of you can't be frightened as long as you're conscious, because everybody's just looking to you to help lead them through those tough times. Then at 11th level, you get Improved Divine Smite. So you get that smite power behind almost every hit. Then at 12th level, you get another ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our charisma up to 16. Then at 13th level, you get access to a 4th level spell slot. At 14th level, you get Cleansing Touch. This just allows you to use an action to end a spell on yourself or one willing creature. While this doesn't factor in too much to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, it does help a lot in D&D. Then at 16th level, you get another ability score improvement, so we're going to boost up our charisma one more time, bringing it to 18. Then at 17th level, you get access to that 5th level spell slot, which is the most you can get as a paladin. And then at 18th level, your auras get to expand in range from 10 feet to 30 feet, so everyone knows what The Rock is cooking. Then at 19th level, you get another ability score improvement, and we're just going to boost up our constitution, since that way you can take a few more hits. Then finally, at 20th level, you get to essentially where The Rock is now, a living legend. As a bonus action, you gain the following benefits for 1 minute. You are blessed with an otherworldly presence, gaining advantage on all charisma checks. Once on each of your turns, when you make a weapon attack and you miss, you make it hit instead. And if you fail a saving throw, you can use your reaction to re-roll it. This entire feature just lists out, whether true or exaggerated, you are a legend based off of your great deeds. So now that we covered the overall build, let's take a quick look at a few spells that might factor in. We won't fill out all of them, but at least some that'll be useful. The spells you gain by default as being an Oath of Glory Paladin are Guiding Bolt and Heroism at 3rd level, which I think Heroism applies pretty well considering most of the movies he's been in, despite the fact that he's going to be playing Black Adam soon and that's more of a villain. Then you get Enhance Ability and Magic Weapon, and Magic Weapon's always pretty helpful just to get a +1. You gain those at 5th level. Then at 9th level, you get Haste and Protection from Energy. Protection from Energy is nice, but Haste is much, much better. It gives you another attack to use every single round, and it doubles your speed. And with the already awesome boost that you get from Oath of Glory, your speed's actually going to be pretty impressive. At 13th level, you get Compulsion and Freedom of Movement. Compulsion really just helps that whole intimidation factor a little more, forcing people to move in a particular direction on their next turn. At 17th level, you get Commune and Flame Strike. While Commune can be a bit more of communing with your ancestors and utilizing the Terra mana that Dwayne Johnson is known for, they don't otherwise play into the build that much. As far as spells that you get to actually choose and you don't get by default, it's always good to have Shield of Faith and Compelled to Duel, because you're gonna be a frontline fighter and you want to be able to call somebody out. Otherwise, just grab Aura of Vitality to really boost up the health of those around you, and then just grab a handful of Smite spells and just go to town, because bringing in Banishing Smite can really do some damage. I was tempted to try and find a way to throw in some lightning spells, as The Rock is known as the most electrifying man in entertainment, but I think that starts to lean into another build. That rounds out our build, and just to make sure that you really add some flavor to it, make sure to really make your presence known with your overall aura, and don't forget to throw in a few rock flavored insults.
Your bald-headed, double-stunted candy ass belongs to The Rock.
In fact, if you really wanted to tweak this a little bit, instead of taking that Constitution boost, you could always grab the feat Magic Initiate, pick up the Bard, and just make sure that you get Vicious Mockery. So you can let out ridiculous mockeries like this.
For the Rock is concerned, you are now and will forever be an asshole. You are a short-haired, 7 feet, 500-pound piece of steaming, stinking, grade A monkey crap!
I know this was one of the more ridiculous builds, but I really just wanted to have some fun with it this time. So I want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons. They are absolutely freaking awesome, and they help me do this stuff even when it's ridiculous like this. And if there's anything differently that you do in this build,
You know your damn role and shut your damn mouth!
no, but really,
It doesn't matter what you think!
no, that's more of what The Rock would say. In actuality, I definitely want to know what you think and want you to tell me exactly what you would do differently or things that you might want built, because your comments go a long way in helping to guide this channel. And if you want to see more ridiculous builds like this or any of my other superhero builds or video game builds or any of that stuff, don't forget to subscribe because I post like this every single week. And finally, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, let me know by dropping the people's elbow on that like button, and I'll be here hoping you roll at least 3 nat 20s in your next D&D session, especially if you're making sure that everybody knows exactly what you're cooking.